Welcome to Main Street Success Stories. I'm your host, Jennifer Koch, entrepreneur, business coach, and founder of Next Wave Business Coaching. My first business I opened 2 days before giving birth to my second daughter. But then I grew it for 20 years. I grew it from a local bakery into a national brand and eventually sold it for a profit. I know firsthand how tough the odds can be. Only 1 out of 2 small businesses make it to year 5. That's why I'm passionate about helping entrepreneurs change those statistics through coaching, mentoring, and this podcast, where I share real stories of others, their success, their struggle, their mindset shifts, their fears, and lots of wins along the way. Because none of us are alone in this journey of entrepreneurship, and I want to make sure that you have the support you need. My goal is simple: to inspire you, motivate you, and show you there's a path to building a profitable business. So let's dive into the next episode of Main Street Success Stories. Have you ever looked at your business and thought, my revenue's up. Things are doing really well. I'm really working hard. And then where's the money? If you have, today's episode may change the way you look at profit. Because your biggest profit leak may not be your payroll or your marketing or your sales funnel. It may be the way you're operating your business every single day. There are certain habits that can cost you thousands of dollars without ever appearing as a line item on your P&L. So today, I'm going to help you figure out whether you're operating like an octopus, an elephant, a lion, or an eagle, and which habit might be costing you the most in your business. And I want you to listen in for yourself because I guarantee you're going to recognize some patterns in here. Okay, a little context before we jump in. My name is Jennifer Koch. I'm a business consultant and the founder of Next Wave Business Coaching. I'm also a speaker and an author of Make Waves. My focus is helping service-based businesses scale their profits. We add on an average of $1,700 to $4,000 cash in the bank every month. I've owned businesses for over 25 years. I've built them. I've hired teams. I've made really good decisions, and I've made some really expensive decisions. I've experienced times when revenue was growing, and yet I bounced employee paychecks because I didn't have enough cash flow. After working with hundreds of small business owners, I've realized that there's a pattern. We usually think profit is all about the dollars and cents, all about the P&L. But often it's not. The financial problem starts with our habits, our day-to-day, our leadership. The habits about how you spend your time, what you say yes to, what you refuse to delegate, how you make your decisions, where you believe you as the owner have to be involved, and whether you're actually leading the business or reacting to it. So that's what we're going to talk about today. So stage 1, let's talk about the first animal, the octopus. All right, let's learn a little bit about the octopus. It's one of the most intelligent creatures in the animal kingdom. It solves puzzles. It uses tools. It plans ahead. Ooh, sounds like an entrepreneur, right? It lives in every ocean and has adapted to environments ranging from shallow coral reefs to depths of over 2,000 meters. It's got 8 arms, and it uses every one of them simultaneously. Sound familiar? And it does this alone. No team, no backup, just itself and 8 arms running at full speed. And when it feels threatened, it releases an ink cloud to confuse its predators, to buy itself some time. But here's what that ink cloud also does. It blinds the octopus itself. It cannot see clearly inside its own cloud, just like an entrepreneur operating like an octopus cannot see their business from the full picture. And here's what's tough. An octopus only lives 1 or 2 years, not because it's, going to do anything different. It's because it's simply a limit to how long any living thing can run at maximum capacity by themselves without any release, which is why I'm so passionate about helping business owners beat that statistic of only 1 out of 2 make it 5 years. Just like the octopus, they wear out and they end up walking away from their business too soon. So the business owner who's operating like an octopus has 8 arms. Picture that. And some of you who are also growing a family might have family in one of those arms. So you're answering the emails, you're dropping off at daycare, you're in the carpool pickup line, you're sending proposals, you're handling the clients, you're posting on social, you're doing the bookkeeping, you're solving the IT problems. You're solving the printer problems. You're talking to all the vendors. You're handling every emergency. And then somewhere along the line, you're supposed to be working on your business? How? And a lot of times we just say to ourselves, well, this is what ownership's like. Oh, you know what? It's just easier if I just do it myself. Well, that sentence right there can be incredibly expensive. I see this a lot with bakery owners who I love to work with. And of course, I owned my own bakery for over 20 years. We own a bakery or start a bakery because we have an amazing talent at something, whether it's cookies, cupcakes, wedding cakes, whatever that is. And so there is a period where we literally do everything. We own the store, we manage the employees, we handle customers, we market, we bake, we produce. We are inside our four walls all the time. We're doing the bookkeeping. We're solving whatever problem comes at us every day. And then we're trying to find time to network because we're supposed to be networking to grow our business. And we just justify it like, this is what we're supposed to be doing. But here's where the profit leak happens. The octopus has a very simple problem. Her income is limited by her capacity. Every dollar requires more of you. And it's not just costing you money. If you're answering an email that someone else could answer, if you're not developing that relationship that could bring in reoccurring revenue, while you're fixing a scheduling issue, you're not looking at your numbers, you're doing the $25 an hour work. You're not doing the work that the owner does. And what happens over time is it drains your energy, your creativity, your mental capacity. Doing everything yourself may feel like you're protecting the business, but in reality, you're capping it. So then what happens? Well, we hire. We become stage 2 business owners, the business manager, or the elephant. So congratulations, you're hiring now. You don't have to do everything yourself. You don't have to do all the baking, except somewhere someone still needs you. So let's talk about the habits of the elephant. The elephant is one of the most beloved and intelligent animals. They live in tight family herds of 6 to 20 individuals. Mothers, daughters, aunts, calves, all moving together. They communicate through deep rumbles, gentle touches. And every single thing the herd does runs through one elephant, the matriarch. Okay, for those of you that are also building families, can you relate? You're the one with the family calendar, right? Everybody looks to you for when they're supposed to be to soccer practice. Well, same with the business manager, the elephant. She's the most experienced. Everyone turns to her. When the herd faces a crisis, every member looks to her. She reads the situation, makes the call, and the herd moves on. Studies have found this is a little heartbreaking that when the matriarch passes away, the remaining elephants, while capable, they become disorganized, anxious, and very vulnerable. So everybody looks to you when it's time to make a decision, and that's exactly what happens in a small business. You hired a team, you're like, phew, I finally figured it out. I'm going to hire somebody. I'm not going to be doing everything all the time. Well, then they come to you. Can I give this customer a refund? Can I move this appointment? Should we accept this project? What should I say to this email? You're no longer doing everything yourself. You're now doing your job and managing everybody else's job. You have become the bottleneck. And what does that mean? It means we're all waiting on the owner in order for the business to move forward. I one time had a client who owned a marketing agency, and she started out doing everything. She was the octopus. She moved herself to hiring a few people, but then every question came back to her. Which client do we take? Well, ask the boss. How do we handle this complaint? Well, let's ask the boss. Should we offer a discount on this one? Oh, I don't know. Ask the boss. And so when you start being the only one who can lead the team forward, when every decision actually requires you, you have really not delegated. You're just taking on more. And when we started digging deep in this person, this one owner, what it came down to was her own perfectionism. It was hard for her to let go. It was her baby, right? Her belief about the quality that the team would produce, her belief in trusting them. What if they make a mistake? And that's where it gets really expensive, because here's what happens over time. So this marketing agency gets a prospective client call at 10 in the morning. Your employee knows 90% of the answer, but they're not quite sure, or they don't have that confidence in order to handle it, or they're afraid they might mess up. You're in meetings, you're gone for the day, you're on vacation, and the prospect is, by the time we get back to them with that one little answer, the prospect's moved on. And you know what? That doesn't show up on a PN. That's a lost sale. That's lost income. And it's real. And it happens frequently when we are the business manager, when we are the elephant. So multiply that by weeks and months. And what is that actually costing you? So the biggest cost isn't always the mistake that somebody may or may not make. It's sometimes the biggest cost is making sure that they can't make the decision without you. And the most profitable thing you can do is to trust your team, communicate your vision, set up the systems, and allow them to make some decisions. Even if occasionally it's not the best one or the one that you would do, that's okay. Because the cost of their mistakes are always going to be less than the cost of you being the bottleneck. So after we get through octopus phase, then we move on to the elephant phase. We move on to stage 3, which is the CEO of the business. And we feel like we've gotten there. We've won. We're now the lion. So the lion is where business ownership can get a little interesting because lion is the most iconic symbol of leadership in the entire animal kingdom. It's commanding. It's strategic. It's respected. You hear a lion roar and boy, you're stopping your tracks, right? They live in groups called prides and they all have defined roles. They share accountability. And there's a clear hierarchy that every member understands. So you've now got your organization figured out. You've got your marketing. You've got your financial people. But the lioness is often the operational engine. And so they hunt together. They do not wait to be told. So your team's not waiting. But there's something about what happens in the pride when the lioness is present. You're maybe not micromanaging, but there's definitely a little bit of a powerful leadership that's happening. And so what happens is a lot of times from the outside looking in, if you're the CEO of your business and you're operating like a lion, everything looks successful. But when you're not there, a lot of times the pride can come a little bit unorganized because the pride was built around the lion's presence, whether or not you're there. People might know their jobs. They know their systems. There might be a healthy profit. But the business performs better when she is there. A big client, well, she needs to be involved. Key employee decision, let me just kind of think through that and help you approve it. A major opportunity, well, maybe everybody waits for her. A vacation, do you actually unplug and not check your phone the whole time? So she's checking her phone frequently because she's a little bit afraid to let go. So this is where it can become interesting as a lion and how it can affect your profit is your fear of letting go. You maybe created those standard operating procedures. You've got people in place that can make some decisions, but you haven't quite let them operate without your constant presence. And I get that these are our businesses. It's hard to do this and it takes time. We're going to move through these stages in different times. But the key is, how do you build an organization that doesn't depend on you? What do those clear roles look like? The clear expectations, the authority, hiring for strengths that you don't have, hiring people that are smarter than you. Building leaders underneath you. So at the lion stage, your presence can become the standard, and eventually the standard becomes the ceiling. So when you think about, does everything happen inside these four walls, inside my business, depend on me? That is a profit leak. The ultimate goal of business ownership, the fourth stage, and obviously the one that we all strive for, is the eagle. The eagle is the ultimate business owner. Eagles are found on every continent except Antarctica. They build their nest called an eyrie on the highest available point in the entire territory. The highest available point, key, a cliff face, the crown of the tallest tree, a mountain ledge. They're always elevated. They're always with the widest possible view of everything happening below. Their vision is 4 to 8 times more powerful than a human being. They can identify opportunity from 2 miles away. And while every other predator is reacting what is directly in front of them, the eagle is scanning. They're scanning, looking for the opportunity, looking for what's going to come. And here's the behavior. When we think about stage 4 leadership, the eagle does not flap its wings constantly. It locates thermal currents, invisible columns of warm rising air. It locks in, it spreads its wings, and it soars for hours, which is protecting its energy. It's not working harder than every other bird. It's working within a system that carries it. And it closes its wings and commits to a precise, powerful dive when it has spotted something that is absolutely worth its focus. So the business as an eagle, the owner as an eagle, oftentimes these are owners that go on to own multiple businesses, but they're looking at things like, where are we going over the next 3 years? What's changing in our market? Is there any new opportunities coming? What should we stop doing? Where do we need to lean into? Who do we need on our team? The systems handle the daily decisions. Your team leaders handle the departmental decisions. Your culture drives the value-based decisions. And then you get to really step in as the owner. So on average, it takes business owners 10 to 25 years to become a genuine stage 4 operation. But with the right systems, the right community, the right mentors, you can get there in as early as 7 to 10. I will tell you, it took me about 15 years to get there in my business. And in order for you to, at some point in your journey, create an exit strategy, whether you are going to sell your business or pass it on to someone else, you have to be an eagle. Because one of the biggest deterrents to selling a business is owner dependency. So you don't get there overnight, and that's okay. I'm not saying that you need to rush through these stages. You don't. But I'm here to tell you that when you recognize what stage you're in, that is going to be a huge value for you in finding your profit leaks. Because these profit leaks show up, like I said, not just in dollars and cents. They show up in your mental capacity, your energy, your ability to see opportunities. So what do we do with this information that I just shared? The octopus believes doing everything herself protects the business. The elephant believes being involved in everything maintains the high standards. The lion believes her presence is the measure of the business's performance. And all three of those beliefs are very understandable. You're not alone. They're well-intentioned, but they are costing you money every single month. So here's what I want you to think about. If you disappeared from your business for 1 week, 2 weeks, 1 month, what would happen? And that's where we have to stop and figure out what do we need to focus on in order to not only grow your profit every month, but stop these leaks that are happening in our habits and our daily ownership. And here's the good news. You don't have to become the eagle tomorrow. Take that pressure off yourself. If you're the octopus juggling it all, that's okay. We'll get you to the next step, the business manager. But what is the one habit that's keeping you at your current stage? I work with women who own service-based businesses. These are creatives. They own bakeries and interior design businesses and marketing agencies. And I help them scale their profits, not just their revenue. Because when you scale your profit, that builds in the freedom. That helps you get to be the eagle. And on average, my clients see up to $4,000 and more cash in their bank every month following my 3-step process. I'll put some link in my show notes for you to learn more about that. So I'm inviting you to a free masterclass, what's called the Profit Leak, and it's going to show you exactly the hidden profit leaks that are costing you. You're going to walk away with one thing you can change first or focus on first. So I will also put the show link in the show links, a link to the sign up for that free masterclass. I really invite you to take this idea of the octopus, the elephant, the lion, the eagle, and see where you are in that journey. And what is the one thing that you can do to change? I'm really passionate about this, so you're going to hear me talking about this more in the future. In the future episodes, I'm going to be going deeper on the beliefs, the habits such as perfectionism, procrastination, mindset, pricing that are keeping you in the octopus or the elephant stage. And how do we start moving through these so that someday you get to decide when it's time for you to walk away from the business, not the burnout, not the fact that you are tired, weary, or just not making enough money. You get to decide. And that's hard to do on your own. So join me in my live masterclass. Learn more about my program called the Focus Growth Collective, where I'm here with you because nobody built anything of meaning by themselves. If this episode resonated with you, I would love for you to give me a 5-star review. And please comment in that review what is the one thing that you feel you gained from this episode. And in the meantime, think about your own habits, your daily to day. Are you the octopus, the elephant, the lion, or the eagle? Drop me a DM in my Instagram. I'd love to hear. Thanks for listening. And until next time, keep showing up, keep building. Somebody out there needs what you have to offer. If you're listening and thinking, I'm working really hard, so why am I not seeing more profit? This is for you. I know as a busy entrepreneur, you are serving clients. That's where your heart is. You're taking the photos, you're doing the interior design work, you're planning their events. And probably the first thing in the morning you do is hop on your email and answer all your emails. And then you start to outsource and you're managing the people and watching what they're doing. And then you have to go post and market yourself and go to all the networking events and simultaneously raise a family, take care of elderly parents, and volunteer in your community. So you're busy, you're flying all the time. And then at the end of the day, you're like, where did my time go? And you're almost afraid to look at your checking account because you're afraid to ask yourself, where did the money go? There's a big difference in how I operate. Busy does not always equal profitable. Today's world, you need about 25% strategy. There's information everywhere, AI, everywhere you turn. But 75% of building a successful business comes down to your mindset, your beliefs, your habits, and how you lead yourself and your business. Strategy matters, of course. But the best strategy is not going to help you avoid decisions. It's not going to help you spend time in the wrong places. It's not going to keep you accountable. and it's not going to help you stop operating reactively. I call it the hidden profit leaks. Spending too much time delivering and not enough time selling, following up, and building relationships. Keeping the systems and processes in your head instead of actually creating a system that can help grow your business. A lot of times we result to, I just need more clients. Or if I raise prices, I might lose people, even though at the end of the day, we're not profitable. Or I should be further along by now. Working harder, hustling harder isn't the answer. Trust me, I've been there. That was the default I used to tell myself. Instead, it's not always about raising your prices either. That's the other default I used to tell myself. A lot of it is how you are showing up, your habits, and your day-to-day systems. You need to probably just make better decisions about where your money, time, and energy are going. Profitability has layers. Layers in, yes, your pricing, that is real, expenses, your system, your sales process, your mental capacity, your offers, your marketing messaging, your leadership, and your habits. So for instance, a couple of clients that I've worked with after working with hundreds of clients, one of them kept having to dip into her savings to keep the business afloat. And she kept just telling herself, if I hustle harder, I will fix this. But what was happening is she was just chasing. So what we did is we stopped the chasing and we created a marketing system that's going to attract. We targeted where she should spend her time, who she should work with, and what kind of offers to create. And what happened? Her revenue went up 29%. So now we don't have to put money into her business anymore, personal money. We can focus on stronger profits. But also she saved herself so much time. She was no longer running all over town, attending every networking event. And more importantly, this is what she said. I am confident to market myself as the expert. Another client of mine was constantly chasing new leads. Well, when we dug under the layers, we realized that she didn't have a follow-up system because she had the belief, I don't want to bother people. Once we created a relationship, not a pressure type sales system and follow-up process, her revenue went up 61%. Another client of mine, she was stuck. It had been a while since she felt like she had any wins. So we looked at what actually drove sales. It was hard for her to see because she was too close to it. We made decisions from data, not emotions. And guess what? Her profit went up $1,700 a month. That's cash in her pocket every month because she's focusing on what will make the difference. Let me ask you this. What would $2,000 a month in actual cash mean to you in your business? Would it mean you could pay yourself more? Maybe hire or outsource one of those areas you don't want to do anymore? Invest in equipment or growth in your business? Build some cash reserves? Sleep better? Or donate to your favorite cause? That's what happens when you start making good money inside your business. But I want you to know that more than strategy and mindset, there's a belief around it. For a lot of us as entrepreneurs, we stepped out. We might be the first generation entrepreneur in our family. And I'm sure we can remember the eye roll that we got from Uncle Steve at the Thanksgiving dinner, or the, you're doing what? Or, whoa, wait, you're going to leave that good corporate job to start a business? And it's hard because a lot of times we're surrounded by a lot of non-entrepreneurs in our personal life. And being an entrepreneur means that you have to learn how to lead differently than your friend who works at corporate. You have to ask yourself, where am I spending my time? What am I avoiding? What am I simply doing because I've always done it? What should I delegate? What decisions am I afraid to act on? If you're thinking, you know what, I am working way too hard and I really would love some support because I know I can make better choices that can lead to a more profitable business, that's exactly the work we do inside my program called the Focus Growth Collective. It's a cohort program. I keep it small and intentional so that you can get to know each other and learn from each other. And we look at your profit, but we look at your time, your energy, your habits, your systems, and the decisions that you're making. And I'm there to help you be your accountability partner. If this is something that you're interested in learning more about, send me a DM or schedule a call. Let's talk about it. Because here's the thing. You don't need to build a business that requires more and more of you. You need to build one that rewards you for making better decisions. Thank you today for listening. And if you could do me one more favor before you exit out of this podcast, could you go and leave us a 5-star review? I genuinely would appreciate it. Until next time.